All right. There are approximately 20 to 25 participants that are already on the room. Okay, so good afternoon and happy weekend to all of you. Welcome to the first sharing session, Why Studying Abroad. And this is an event of the Department of Chemistry, Universitas Indonesia, that is organized by Bioinformatics Research Group. And my name is Julia Stefani, your MC for today's event. This sharing session aims to give insight on going studying abroad and motivate your eagerness to learn and to gain information needed to study abroad. And today, we invited two speakers, interviewees that have spent their youth overseas to learn. They are Mr. Ziko Alaya Akbar Jr., PhD, and also Mrs. Fitri Amalia, PhD. And this interview will be led by Professor Usman Sumofren Tambunan as the moderator. And as you must be curious about several things on the topics, you can also join the interview session by giving your question to the speakers through the chat box or say it directly on the question and answer session. And before we begin, I would like to state the rule for this sharing session. All participants are expected to have the microphone on mute and the usage of camera is optional. And before I give the session to Prof. Usman as the moderator, I will introduce the speaker to you by reading their CVs first. Maybe start with Dr. Fitri Amelia. Can you please share the CV of Mrs. Fitri? Okay, so Fitri Amelia, Master of Science, PhD, is now currently working as a lecturer in the Chemistry Department, UNP, Universitas Negeri Padang, from 2009 until now. She went to Universitas Negeri Padang for her bachelor degree in Department of Chemistry from 2000 to 2005. And then she went to Universitas Indonesia in our department by Professor Usman Sumofren Tambunan as her supervisor. And then she went to Japan in Kanazawa University to study pharmacy and vaccinology from 2015 until now, or maybe, to learn about down-selecting circumsporozoite protein-based malaria vaccine formulation. And listed here below is her journal publications and also a conference publication until today. And then for the second one is the CV of Mr. Ziko Alaya Akbar, PhD. Okay, Dr. Ziko Alaya Akbar Jr., PhD, is a material scientist with several research experiences. And now he is working as a postdoctoral in Ulsan National Institute of Science and Technology, South Korea. And he also had several working experiences, starting from project engineer in the Agency of the Assessment and Application of Technology Indonesia. And he also worked as assistant manager in Bank Danamon Indonesia. And then he worked as research assistant in Cookman University, visiting researcher in the Department of Mechanical Engineering, University of Michigan, USA. And also he has done a postdoctoral in Cookman University, South Korea. And now he is in Ulsan National Institute of Science and Technology, South Korea. And he also have several professional organization experiences from the chairman of Universitas Terbuka Korea Selatan, and then as a co-founder of Digital Sekolah, and as a vice chairman of Association of Indonesian Scientists in South Korea from 2020 until now. And for the academic background, he went to Universitas Indonesia in our department for his bachelor degree, and also for his master and PhD, he has done it in the Cookman University, South Korea. And also listed are his publications until today. So maybe before we give it to Prof. Usman, I would give some time to Dr. Ziko and also Dr. Fitri Amelia to introduce themselves to the participants. Maybe Dr. Fitri first.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Filia. Okay, hello all, good afternoon. My name is Fitri Amelia. You can call me Fitri. As the Miss Filia mentioned before, I was graduate from Chemistry Department, Universitas Indonesia in 2008, and then become a lecturer in Universitas Negeri Padang in 2009. And now I'm the chief of Department Chemistry in Universitas Negeri Padang.
I see.
Okay. Okay. Actually, I was surprised when Professor Usman contact me at the late night. Yeah, it's very surprising. So, but yeah, it is my pleasure to meet you all, especially Bioinformatics Group Research. I hope all of you got the valuable things in this meeting, and I hope all of you can success always. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And then maybe for Dr. Ziko.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ms. Filia. First of all, good day, Prof. Usman and everyone in here. I would like to say that I am actually really honored to be here. I remember when I was a student in Kimia UI at that time, we don't have this kind of discussion.
Activity, yeah.
Yeah, so I remember I had once, but that one is in physics department. So I was just going to rectorate at that time and listening about the senior that has been in US, I think at that time. And from that point, I was inspired basically to go abroad and pursuing my degree. So I hope this kind of activity also will inspire you the same way to get a higher degree. So thank you so much.
Okay, you're welcome, Dr. Ziko. Okay, so now you have already know that we have such a great speakers, and now I will give the session to Prof. Usman for the interview session. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Abelia. Thank you so much to all participants for joining this webinar meeting. First of all, I would like to deliver my question to Dr. Fitri probably. What was your initial thought on going study abroad? Can you share with us?
If you ask me about the first thought, actually, I wanted to go abroad when I was in elementary school.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, I did one of the comic group book written by the author from Japan. It is the title is, if I'm not wrong, it is Seito Sokun. It is telling about how interesting Japanese culture, and then their how they changed their educational system in Japan. So that's why I interested going to Japan.
Going to Japan. Okay.
Yes. Then
okay.
Then I forget. Then I remember again when I was in undergraduate student. So in my undergraduate student, I actively joined so many writing competitions. So then some of my friends from other university, they mentioned about their success to get some scholarships. So that's why then I start to dream again going abroad.
Okay,
so that's why
yeah.
I dream to go abroad. But after I graduate from undergraduate, I try Ford Foundation scholarship.
Okay.
Yes. I tried Ford Foundation scholarship, and then I passed the administration and also the TOEFL test, but I failed in the interview.
Okay, no problem. You got it already. Okay.
After I failed, and then I need to get the job because we are not from the wealthy family, so I got a job, and then after I get some money to continue my study, then I go to Universitas Indonesia, and then I start meeting you.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah. How about you, Dr. Jiko? Can you share with us?
Yes,
yeah.
It's very interesting actually. Most likely, I'm also the same. Like if we know that there is abbreviation like YOLO, you only live once. So I think I remember that I would like to see the world basically since the beginning of my senior high school. So I keep like dreaming how can I actually see the world? The other part of the world is like speaking another language and things like that one. And that's my first point, basically, just to experience different culture as a student and living in other countries. And then yeah, it just keep going. When I just entered a University of Indonesia, I got interested in basically two things. Your lecture, Professor, about
Okay, I see. Yeah.
biochemistry at that time, and the other one is about renewable energy. So in my third year, I need to choose whether I should go for biochemistry or whether should I go for the energy. Uh,
Okay.
yeah, and I decided I will go for the energy one at that time, and then just keep rolling. And I met some uh, my next advisor that time, which is in BPPT, Professor Enia and Professor Atno Nuryadi.
Okay, I
So
see.
yeah, and then we keep like discussing about how is the experience living abroad and things like that. And it makes me more, how can I say, compelling reason to go abroad because of that one. But it's very simple. I just want to see the world. That's
Okay, I see. Okay, could you please share with us how you search for and choose the campus that you already enter?
me first.
Could you please share with us how you search for and choose the campus?
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah.
So basically, at that time, the opportunity to get the scholarship is not as many as we have now. Now we can
You
actually.
mean that it's not easy, right?
It's
Yes,
not
yes.
easy. Also, it's not the. I think PDP is not there in my time. So the one that I remember is only Dikti, but Dikti is only for maybe the lecturer. That's from the government, from the Indonesian government, and then from outside maybe there was some like uh, Monbu Kaguso in Japan and some
Yeah,
other
okay, I
like
see.
in the European. What is that? Yeah, I forget some of them. At Fulbright there is also, and in Australia there is also. But uh, and also the most important thing is that the information how to get that scholarship is also limited. I mean,
Hmm.
not many people is sharing openly this time.
Okay, I see.
YouTube, I think many people try to share their experience in YouTube, and we can just learn from their experience much easier compared like 10 years ago. So, and then basically at that time, generally, what I knew is that to, to choose the university, there are two basic reasoning. The first one is the name of the university, the fame of university. That's the one. And the second one is basically finding the right advisor based on the research topic. So I would like to make uh, inline to my previous research, which is about solar cell at that time. I did solar cell during my research in fourth year, and I try to like best because when we do the research, we read so many literature, and eventually we read the name of the professor, and I keep like trying finding what university they are in, and by doing that, I try to contact them one by one, and eventually I got some hints whether I can get accepted or not. And I try, of course, like several times, not many, only 5. I remember I sent email
Okay.
to 5 professor, like explaining about myself and what I'm doing, and then why I choose them, especially because the research is in line to what I was doing during my bachelor degree. One of them is in Australia, and the rest of them is maybe probably in South Korea because what I remember, South Korea also the research in about solar cell in South Korea is also very heavy. So I try to contact some of professor there. From 5 city that I sent, 5 email that I sent, I got like about 3 response. And from that 3, I decided to move to Cookmin because of that is also the publication list from my advisor is very much closely related to what I like. So that's the summary of it, Professor Usman.
Okay, thank you. Now I'll move to Dr. Fitri. Dr. Fitri, since you have a benefit from external funding, do you mind sharing what process you have been taught to get one?
Pardon? Sorry, can you repeat, sir?
I mean, you have a benefit from external funding, right?
Yes. Right.
Do you mind sharing with us what process you have been taught to get the funding?
Yes, of course, I don't mind. I always share my story to all my students to encourage them to go study abroad. Okay. So actually, when I get the scholarship, so maybe it will be different from you because I took the scholarship from Indonesian government, and this is also for lecturers. So it will be a little bit different with if you want to apply using, for example, Dr. How do I say? I forget the name.
Zico.
Zika. It's a little bit different, but I think it is just almost the same. I mean, when you want to apply the scholarship, you need to prepare your English, and then also you need to prepare where do you want to go, and then the most important thing, do you really want to go abroad or not? This is the question that you need to answer before you go. Because if you just want to go abroad because of your friend going abroad, I think it will be difficult for you to get it. But if you really want to go there, so it will be easy. Everything related to the scholarship you can find in everywhere now. As already mentioned before, previously, it's a little bit difficult to you to find how to make the essay, how to apply the scholarship, but now everything already in internet, so you can get it easily. But in my case, actually, since I already faced the failure when I applied the scholarship in Ford Foundation, so in the Ford Foundation, they in the interview, they asked me to explain what I want to do. Actually, yeah, after I graduate, what I want to do. So, what is the benefit if they give me the scholarship? Yeah, at the time, actually, I don't prepare this question, so I cannot answer this question very good. But since we interviewed by the team, so I saw my my team's answer, and he is very good. He's very good. So he is the volunteer in I forget one of the island in Indonesia. So he's the volunteer did so many things to the society, and then he explained, and then he also can explain what he will do after he graduate. So that's why then I think, yeah, that's one of the weakness of me at the time. And then when I prepare for this scholarship, Indicti scholarship, I try to prepare all the question and all the things that I got failed from the previous in this scholarship. So that's why it's a little bit easy. So only one question I little bit not difficult, but it's not easy to answer, because they ask, what about, since I have a daughter at the time, so they ask, what will I do to my daughter when I will continue my study? This is very tricky question actually. Yeah, but since when I apply, before I apply this scholarship, I already contact with the professor, and then he already told me about Hoi Kuen for the children, and then he also already told me about how to find the food cafeteria for the Muslim student or something like this. So it helped me to answer the question. So if you want to apply, please ask the question that you maybe need to your professor. So if you asked by reviewer about living abroad, so you can anticipate something like this. So I think this.
Why did you choose Japan? Did you like the culture?
Yeah, actually,
You like that one?
Yeah, not, if you ask me the culture, which culture do you mean? If about doing research, maybe no. But living in Japan is
right?
good. Yeah, but living in Japan is good because they're how do you say?
Living for a short time, I think, not for a long.
No, not for a long time, and with the society, because they're very honest person. If I compare with Indonesia, not only Indonesia, but as the Muslim, most of the Muslim also did some dishonesty and then also stealing. But in Japan, in my experience, criminology is a little bit less than Indonesia. Even if we left our laptop or cell phone on the bus, you can get it even after 2 days. Just something like this. And also, yeah, but doing research, I don't think it is good experience, but living in the society, I think is good.
Okay, I see. Because yeah, I graduated also from Japan.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. From Tohoku University. Yeah, it's number one right now in Japan, I think. Yeah, Tohoku University. So I'm at Tohoku University alumni. Yeah. Okay, Dr. Jiko, have you ever failed in competing to get a scholarship?
Yes, sir, actually. Basically, when I try, I sent email to Australia and the professor responded me, but the scholarship was not secure at all at the time. I mean, I need to get the external funding. And I tried to look, there is one scheme actually for the Australian government scholarship. I was not very successful at that time, but unfortunately, I didn't know why. What is the weaknesses when I applied that one? Because the information was very limited at the time for this kind of scheme. So I decided to discuss also with my my senior that has been abroad for studying. And there's another scheme that usually people try to also get. Is basically what we call as the internal funding, like professor got the project and try to hire the student. I think in most countries like Korea, Japan, or even US, they also have this kind of scheme for getting the external student, so that people from any countries can apply and get that one. Since I basically didn't try many things, so I just remember that one, professor, the Australia one that I failed, and the other one, the professor just didn't respond to my email.
Okay, I see.
But
Do you use do you use English in your daily life in Korea, in a campus or in outside of the campus?
Most of the time, yes, but I try to mix that one with Korean, because I also want to experience and get some Korean language during my time in here. But most of the time, like 80%, 90%, I use English all the time.
Okay, I see. How about you, Dr. Fitri, in Japan? Do you use English or Japanese language, Nihongo?
Yes, most of the time I use English, but to get in touch with the college. So in the beginning, actually they are not welcome with me.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, because they're afraid of us, me and my friend from Bangladesh. We are the first international student in this lab, so they are
Okay.
afraid of us. They are afraid to talk in English. So that's why I try to use some of Japanese and mix. And then after 2 or 3 months, they try to speak English. So should be mixed. And then, but after 6 months and up to a year, they already can speak English. And that's a
Okay.
good thing.
Okay. 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 So let me ask you a big question related to that one. At the very first time you have arrived in Japan, what do you think is it hard?
Yeah, it is very
Have you ever,
hard.
I mean, have you ever felt homesick because you told me before that you have a doctor, like,
Yes.
you didn't bring it with you
No, I didn't
directly.
bring her. Yeah, no, yes, this is very hard actually. I feel maybe I cried on my first week.
Oh,
Yeah, it's very hard because I left my daughter. She's 3 years old at the time. Then yeah, almost every day. In the first week, I cried. Yeah, but since I already decided, I still remember that you ever told me that the once you decide,
yeah, yeah, yes,
it means you write your history.
yeah, yeah.
This is your
You still
sentence.
remember that one, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
of course.
yeah, yeah. Okay,
That's
okay.
why.
Thank you so much. Yeah,
That's why I remember.
yeah,
Then when I remember that one, so yeah, I already decided this, so I should
yeah.
fast.
That's the good experience to share with the participant in this Zoom meeting right now. Yeah, when you decide, then yeah. Then how did you cope with that one? Because for me myself, let's say live in Japan, it's not. Yeah, I mean that you forgot that one after you enter the lab, right? Because
Yeah.
yeah, no way to think about Indonesia anymore because
Yes.
you should think your experiment. I mean that. How do you
Yes.
think about that one? Yeah.
Yeah.
How many hours in a day? Yeah.
I want to tell
Just
you.
tell us about that one.
Um. Regularly, start from 8 to 6.
8
Eight
to
to
6?
six. Yes.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. 8 to 6. But I want to share you my story. So actually, when I was there, and the first time, the associate professor told me that our lab start from 8 to 6, and then I and my friend just go back home at 6.
Then
And then suddenly my professor came at 7, and then he didn't see us, both of us. And then in the morning, I just got the letter. It is
from him.
written that yes, the letter from him. They said, Pitori-san, if you want to go back to your country, I will buy you a ticket, and you can you cannot come to our lab anymore. This is very stressful. In my first week, I got this letter, and then I learned that you cannot go back home before your professor go back home.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, yeah.
But normally the time hour just from 8 to 6. But then after I got good result, so Alhamdulillah, thanks God. After 6 months, I got a good result. So then I also bring my daughter, and he start to say to me, Pitori-san, you can go home early, take care of your children, something
Okay.
like that.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Okay, Dr. Jiko, how easy it was to socialize and communicate with colleague, lecturer, or even professor there at the time you came into Korea?
At that time, it was not very easy, especially because we have language barrier. But socialize with the other student, I think Korean is open to the foreigner, so we can share some common, how can I say, common condition where we can just laugh together. So yeah, for socialize to the student, that is fun. Uh, I haven't found any difficulties because they helped me also during my first month there, and like try to because I was the first international student in that laboratory.
Okay.
I was being introduced actually by one of my senior, which is Purba Purnama, I think Kimia UI 2001, 2002, to that professor. And then, yeah, I think it's okay, Professor, just to having communication. And I didn't get that kind of experience like what Dr. Fitri had.
That's good.
Yeah. But if I recall my memory, Korea, Japan has same work ethic. I think we share that the value. So if Professor Usman asked me what is my working hour in a day, I think it's from 9 to 8, something like this, like almost 12 hours in a day for the first time. And then after exactly what Dr. Fitri said, that if we can perform and give something like good result and like that, eventually that kind of thing will be lower. The stress will be lower, and our advisor will just try to give some space for us to think about other things, like not only about the experiments, but most of the time it's like from a week. Maybe my professor said that we should work like 6 days in a week, like until Saturday.
Yeah, the same thing like me. Yeah.
Yeah, the same way I think in Japan also.
No. But for me, I have an experience. I have to start seminar at 8 o'clock at night.
At
8 o'clock. Yeah,
night.
at night. Yeah. It's mean I have to leave the lab at 12 o'clock. Yeah.
I see.
At the time, no bus anymore.
Well,
No bus. Yeah.
and most of the time, I think also, Professor, we experience sleep in the laboratory. I think
Yeah, the same thing. Yeah.
exactly like
Yeah.
working late, lonely in the laboratory is common. Actually, like other people is already went home and we just alone and doing our research. I think that's common. And surprisingly, when we just come out, like for example, like 2 to 3 days ago, because I need to do something in the laboratory, I go home like about 11 p.m. at night, 12 p.m. at night, and I still keep seeing Korean students studying like in the group, uh, in the hallway. So I think this is their culture is like that. It's not like forcing the foreigner to do like this one. It's not like that, but it's just their culture, just really pushing to the limit to get something out. I think that's very nice culture also.
Okay, thank you so much. I have one more question, but I will give this chance to the participant. Dear participant, you can directly ask to Dr. Jiko and Dr. Fitri. Just raise your hand. Yes, Dimas, please. To do you like to ask your question? Just mention. Mr. Dimas, yes, Dimas Prasetyo, please. Yeah.
Thank you, Prof, for the time.
Yeah.
Let me introduce myself. My name is Dimas. I am a master degree student in Chemistry University of Indonesia right now, the first year. I'd like to give question to both of the speakers. Based on what you have talked to us today, I still got curious about what is the main advantages of taking studies abroad compared to if you continue study in Indonesia? I think I need the answer besides the aspect of the living, because if the living or the socialization is, I know it's very different between Indonesia and other country, but in academic aspect, what is the big difference? What is the main advantages of taking studies abroad and in Indonesia? I think it's the first question. The second one, I need to prepare it first. Thank you, bro.
Yeah, thank you so much. Please, Dr. Jiko and Dr. Fitri. Dr. Fitri first, right?
Okay, thank you for the question, Mr. Dimas. For me, the advantages of the going abroad, first, yeah, of course, compared to Universitas Negeri Padang, the laboratory is very sophisticated. But I think some of the lab in Indonesia also have something like this. But the different thing is the culture study. So if I still study in Indonesia, maybe I will still continue my style to study. For example, if I don't have a time, so I don't study very hard. But in Japan, I learned that the most important thing is not the smart one. You don't need to become the smart one. They need honest one. They need hardworking ones. Yes.
Trustful.
Yeah.
And trustful also. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, of course, it is very stressful learning there, go to study there. But one of the advantage that I got from there, since we forced to study that it changed my habit. So up until now, I still wake up in the early morning and then just to read something news. What is the new things? Something like this, just to how do I say, give me some brief, the new information. Just this is the it's become the habit. So we knew something related to what we want to know. This is what I feel the good things to change my habit. Thank you, sir.
Dr. Jiko, please.
Thank you so much, Mr. Dimas, for the question. If you think like that, right, change our style, I agree with Dr. Fitri, and I would like just to complement a few more. Another thing that we will have if we study abroad is, the first one, maybe networking. Because we also have some networking, not only to the Indonesian people, but also with other people from other countries, which is quite important. And the exposure of the international working environment is also important to build our self-esteem whenever we want to deliver something to other people. So that will change our perspective, how we look ourselves, and how we position ourselves when we discuss with other people from different countries. So that's one of the other thing. And the other thing is that not only the networking to the other people from other countries, but the networking to the Indonesian people itself. I mean, when we are abroad, basically, we will also in a group where we discuss also with other Indonesian fellow, Indonesian students from different background. And you can see actually many people, many of them try to make something based on their expertise. I don't know, maybe they make startup and something like that. So that's another opportunity also that we can have. For example, I had that experience also. We try to make startup basically because of this kind of networking. And the other thing is that one more, I forget. I want to say something. Yeah, maybe I will go back when I remember about that one.
Okay, thank you so much. Dimas, do you have any more question?
Thank you, Prof. Thank you, Mr. Ziko and Mr. Fitri, about the answer. I will give the second question. The second question for Mr. Ziko and Mr. Fitri. I still think about what is the main difference between graduate student from abroad and graduate student from Indonesia, especially from doctoral program. Is there any big difference? Like if you graduate from abroad, you will get more privilege or something? Based on your experience, what is the big difference of graduating from Indonesia and from abroad in doctoral program? Thank you.
Please, Dr. Fitri.
Oh, okay, thank you. Okay, based on my experience and I compare with my friend, funding, it's related to funding. So doing research, PhD research abroad, usually you don't pay for chemical or other things, but some of university in Indonesia we still pay chemical to do our research. Even my friend, they got their professor have some funding for her research, but still some of the part of her research she still pay or buy something. But in my experience, I don't need to pay anything, even for conference. They buy me the ticket, and then also the everything hotel, and they provide everything for us. So this is a good thing. I think if we got a PhD program abroad, maybe Dr. Ziko can add others.
That's the only privilege that you have.
Pardon?
That's the only privilege that you have after you got a PhD from Japan.
Sorry, sir. Pardon?
That's the only privilege.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. How about you, Dr. Ajiko?
I see.
Can you share your experience? Yeah.
Yeah. Before that one, I remember the last thing that I want to share. If we go abroad, basically, we have opportunities to get employment in other countries.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, we extend our barrier, like we can work in other countries as a professional in that countries. That's why many people actually want to go abroad. And back again to the question, I don't really know about if we, particularly if we want to enter like Indonesian university after we are getting doctoral degree. But I remember there is some scheme in some of the university where there is some privilege if the doctor degree is from outside. Please correct me if I'm wrong, Professor Usman. I think Professor Usman know much better than me, or Dr. Fitri. But I remember that there is some privilege actually about that one. And also in industry, I think there is also some privilege where we got degree from other countries.
But generally, it's very different, right?
Yes.
We don't share or explain about one-to-one, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But we should explain generally. I think it's completely different, yeah. Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
sir. I agree, sir. It's quite actually different.
Different, yeah.
Right.
Thank you so much, Mr. Dimas. Do you still have a question?
Thank you so much, Prof, for the opportunity, and thank you for Mr. Ziko and Ms. Fitri Amelia for the answer. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Other participant, just raise your hand. Oh, okay, Anissa Maharani. Yeah, time is your. Yeah, please.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Prof. Usman, for the time. So I'm Anissa Maharani. I'm an undergraduate student in chemistry. University of Indonesia. So I have a question for two of the speakers. Dr. Fitri and Dr. Ziko are having a PhD that align with your bachelor degrees, right? I mean, like from the beginning, you are in this field, in this track. So I want to ask about what if we want to jump into another field. Do you have any shared experience from your friends, or you have your own experience that you see by yourself at your universities to be shared with me? Because yeah, I'm planning to go abroad, but not in, not studying chemistry anymore, but I want to explore myself more in other field. But I'm just, I have really clueless about this thing. So I hope you can have an answer for me. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Anissa. Yeah, Dr. Jeko, can you share your experience? Probably you have a colleague or friend outside there. Yeah.
I see. Thank you so much, Anissa, for the question. That's quite interesting question, right? For me, I'm really in line with my previous research in my bachelor degree. So I think that is also strengthen my my reasoning to my advisor why I need to be hired by them as a student. So in the case that you would like to shift to another maybe field, like know more about chemistry, you should find that's still possible, but you should find what make other people hire you. Like how can you get the scholarship based on that condition? At least my suggestion to you is that if you want to shift, maybe you should find something like chemical engineer or material engineer or environmental engineer. That still be relatable with the chemistry.
Yeah.
But if it is like really way, like MBA, maybe it's quite little bit hard if we just directly jump from chemistry and then go to that MBA, for example. Of course, if you have some, like after graduating as a chemist, and then you have some working experience really deep, for example, in the financial background, maybe you can highlight that working experience later on for your MBA career, MBA degree, right? That's still possible for that one. But my suggestion to you is you need to find what is the relation or your current experience to your next future field. I think that's all, person.
It should be okay, I think, but not for all field. For example, I have alumni, 3% probably they went to United States and they got MBA in finance. And after they come back to Indonesia, yes, yeah, they strongly cup in competency. Then also I have alumni in this country, the MBA from University of Indonesia, then went to UK to get a doctor degree in finance also. And now he work in Badan Tenaga Energy of Indonesia. So it can, because but that but depends, is minor probably, not for all field. Now let's see, probably Dr. Fitri has an appearance about this question.
I think, yeah, I agree with Professor Usman and also Dr. Ziko. Actually, as Dr. Ziko said, that I also in line my previous research with my doctoral research, but I have my student, so he took the chemistry department and then he continued his study in Sweden in management training development. So actually, when he asked me about this, I was very surprised that why do you want to take this one? And he said that he likes doing social activity. And then he also one of the chairman of the social activities organization in West Sumatra. And then I said, then if this is your passion, then you can continue. And then he applied the scholarship in Sweden, and then he got that. And now he worked in Philippines as the developer training for English course. Yeah, so it is possible.
Possibly,
So, yeah, it is possible. You just need to ask what is your passion actually. If it is your passion, just continue it.
Yeah, just take it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much, Dr. Fitri. Now let's Mr. Rido Akbar. Rido Akbar, yes, please. Rido Akbar, yeah. Rido Akbar. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, please.
Thank you, Professor, for giving me the opportunity. My name is Rido Akbar, and I would like to ask to Dr. Ziko and Dr. Fitri. I actually want to study abroad after I graduated, but I'm afraid of the admission requirement. Actually, I want to know that were both of you aware of specific requirement, like do we need to have some published research papers first, or about the minimum of GPA scores, and what are the requirements that we should accomplish beside contacting the professors? That's it.
Okay, please, Dr. Jiko.
Thank you, Pak Usman. Thank you, Rido, for the question. You are afraid of the requirement, am I right?
Yeah.
Okay. I think it is actually, it's very much normal to be afraid, basically. I was the same, basically, back then when I tried to send and apply some scholarship also. But I just keep going. I think just keep going. Don't let your afraidness stop you. Just keep going and try just to prepare. For example, I remember that before I got accepted, after I graduated, there is 1 year different. So I graduated, and I graduated 2010, and I went to Korea. 2012, like 2 years, almost 2 years. So in between, I tried to prepare and work actually in finance as an auditor, basically in bank. But during that time, I tried to prepare as much as I can, like the TOEFL, and keep contacting the professor, and keep building like the portfolio that maybe needed for having discussion with professor and getting the scholarship. So I think just keep going. Don't be afraid. I mean, that is normal, the afraid.
Okay, thank you so much. It's, I think it will be Johor time, right? But I will give one more chance to Muhammad. Yeah, please. Yeah. Just one more question, right? Because we have to think about the time. Yeah.
Thank you for your recognition, Professor. I would like to seconding the question before we have rest about how valuable GPA on selection of application process. Because sometimes I'm very interesting to study abroad, but I a little bit afraid about my GPA. Should I have GPA more than 3.5, or should I have outstanding academic record in our undergraduate? Thank you.
Okay, please, Dr. Fitri.
Okay.
Short answer, right?
Okay, thank you, Muhammad. Actually, Yeah, GPA actually important for just only for the first if you want to apply. But as long as you got around 3, then it is okay. You don't need become 3.6, 3.8, something like this. And also based on my, I would like to tell you about my students' experience, because up to now, I already maintain some of my students going abroad. So most of my student going can pass the scholarship is they don't have the good, I mean only 3.1, 3.3. But if I compare with my student that they have a GPA 3.8 or 3.9, these guys actually they have motivated more than this one, because to get a scholarship actually it's not that easy. Just apply and then you got it. That's not like this. You need to learn so many things. You need to apply. You need to be patient. So I think the most important thing is not your GPA. Even GPA, it will be considered. GPA, it will be considered when you apply, but this is not the most important things. As long as you try and then try to contact and then improve yourself, improve your essay. This essay is I think the most important things, because you want to say something to your candidate professor. This is me. This is the, if you want to hire me as a student, so you will got this one, this one, this one. That this is you should need to build in your essay. So the most important thing I think is the essay, not the GPA. Even GPA is important. This is I think, sir. I think
Okay,
Dr. Ziko
okay,
can
yeah,
also
yeah.
add this
Okay,
one.
Dr. Jiko, okay. Dr. Jiko, please, yeah.
Surely, Professor. Yeah, I remember that there is also other people. I mean, some of my friends who has lower GPA than 3, but still can get a scholarship abroad, and he can perform well, really, really well, and get some actually many, how can I say, many achievement during his doctoral activity. So I think the GPA may be the first administration stuff before we enter the next step, but it is not all. Like, we need to be resilient enough and patient enough, like what Dr. Fitri has said. And then I think if we like put in our mindset that we keep growing, because that GPA is not the end of our work. Right? I mean, eventually we can grow much bigger than that one. So I think we can keep going and try to apply scholarship. That's from my experience, actually.
Okay, thank you so much. I have one question for Dr. Jiko. How could you experience in Kimia UI to have in surviving your life abroad, especially in postdoctoral program right now?
Yeah, I think that's very good question for sure. It affect me a lot, actually. I would like to say thank you for the all lecturer and also to you, Professor Usman, for giving us some, how can I say, some ability to survive. For example, we need to think out of the box, really, when we go abroad. Like, if we can find the shortcut when we do the experiment in the good way, not in the bad way, we need to do that one. And especially if we try to, if we had some experience, for example, like in Japan, they call it zemi, right? Like every week meeting, doing progress, like that one. I had that experience with.
That's your parai meeting. Your parai meeting.
I see. I experienced that one with Dr. Zarnuzi.
Okay, I see. Yeah.
In Kimia UI, like I need to give my progress almost every week. So at that time, I got some experience, which I keep doing until now. So I think that's also very much helpful for me. And yeah, whenever I need something, I usually talk to my some of the lecturer in Kimia UI. So it means a lot actually, Professor Usman.
Thank you so much. How about you, Dr. Fitri? Yeah. Can you share with us, especially with the student and fresh graduate of this department?
Yeah. When I was in my master program, this is my experience with Professor Usman. I think most of you also will experience this one. So Professor Usman always asks like what, why, and how. And then yes. Usually he usually in the beginning he will not teach us, because Professor Usman asked us to learn something by our own and then present, and then after we make, maybe some of us make some mistake or something, then he explain us. And then this characteristic of studying that I learned from Professor Usman, that kind of thing also I got when my postdoc, because
Japan,
we
yeah.
need to think by our own self, because no one will teach you in I mean, we are already doctoral program, no one will teach you. You need to learn by yourself, and then you need do something regularly. And then one good thing also that I got from the bioinformatics lab is in our lab we have a, how do I say, sometimes we have a party, and then yeah, some of meeting, and then it make us a very union and good friend between us. Even sometime now I still contacted with some of my friend in our lab. So this is good things. And this one also, actually we need that one if you want to continue study abroad, because this network will be very helpful for you. So even in Japan, we also have this kind of meeting party after doing some work and then party again. And then this is very good things to make the good team. And if you get a good team, it means you will get a good result.
Don't you remember went to Iran together?
Yes, of course.
Yeah. Thank you so much, because time is up. This will be or something like that. I will give the chance to Miss Pilia to say something, and Miss Pilia.
Okay, Prof.
Okay.
Thank you for such an interesting discussion, Dr. Fitri, Dr. Ziko, and Dr.
Don't
Usman.
forget to inform them that we have other virtual meeting right after this year.
Yeah, sure.
Please.
Okay. So before we close our session, if I were to sum up our discussion, we have learned from the background, how did you decide to went overseas to study, and what is the important factors needed to determine which university is good or not. And we also learned about your experiences in searching for scholarship or funding to go there, and as well as how did you survive in other countries far away from your family and with different culture, but still maintain your academic performance. And what I get is, sure, it will be very hard at the beginning, but it's all worth the experiences. And also, there's a similarity in Korea and Japan work ethic, but still different culture, different way to adapt. And to all the participants, before we close the sharing session, I would like to inform that this event's recording can be found on Professor Usman YouTube channel, Usman Bajanatun. You can easily go there, and don't forget to subscribe and give your like to the videos. And once again, I would like to give my biggest gratitude to our speakers for today, to Dr. Ziko and Dr. Fitri. Thank you very much for your time. Let's give a virtual applause for our speakers all the way from Padang and South Korea. And
Thank you so much.
All the participants, thank you for your time, even in the middle of fasting and also in the weekend. I will see you on our next sharing session, maybe in the weeks coming, also with interesting topic and great speaker. Okay, so this is the end of our sharing session. Once again, thank you for coming and have a great weekend.